Welcome to the channel, guys. So as you read from the title, this video is going to be about SJWs and their agenda and why they're actually dooming themselves to fail before they can actually begin. So this video is probably going to be a little bit lengthy. So for those that are able to stay and watch the entire thing, I greatly appreciate and thank you so much for taking the time to watch and appreciate the work that I put into this video. There are a lot of topics to cover, so I'm going to be reading off my computer to be able to fit into a particular time slot between 10 and 15 minutes, because I have a lot of ideas that I'm going to be talking about, and I am very well known, if you watch my other videos, to go on rants on the topics, and that's why a lot of my videos are very choppy. So please just bear with me again for anybody that goes to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I hope any of you, even just one person, is able to take any information from this video or learn something from this. So also, everything that I reference, articles and information, there will be links in the description in order that they appear in this video. If you guys want to read more, or if you feel that I'm wrong on something, there's references for everything. So what is an SJW and what is their agenda? So this is going to be coming from the Urban Dictionary for what the New Age SJW definition is and how it fits into today's society. So, a person who causes problems for normal people through protest and constant nagging because they can't accept that life isn't fair. A keyboard warrior from an affluent background, I'd argue that, who operates under the pretense of social justice while in reality espousing a form of retributive justice. Narcissistic and sociopathic traits are common. An individual that is defined by their constant attacking or addressing of anything that they find inappropriate, offensive, or triggering in their eyes. They repetitively bash any content, even if it's innocent, and aggressively call for the downfall of the person who carelessly offended them. The real problem with social justice warriors is their superficial mentality. Individuals who are mad and get triggered by everything and thinking they are helping society. And their agenda, this is loosely based just on how I have perceived their agenda to be, watching a lot of videos and how they approach ideas, movies, and just things in society as a whole. The agenda when it comes to entertainment and media has been seen to, in very exaggerated way, to make everything seem like sunshine, flowers, and rainbows, as to not offend a single person who hurt anyone's feelings, simultaneously also taking away the roles of men mentally and physically, and race gender swap them to better fit a progressive agenda. In doing all of this, they call out to anyone and everyone that offends them to pander to their needs, with the idea that because they are offended, that they are right and their ideas should be prioritized above others solely because they're offended. But in asking for pandering to their ways, they're asking that the original works be changed in such ways to still carry the legacy of the previous idea, but move forward with something that doesn't connect with what the idea once was. The easiest example of this and their pandering ways has been in entertainment, particularly movies. Lately, movies have been getting backlash from SJWs for not commandeering to them, and studios and TV companies have been pressured to include their wants, not because it would fit the story of what they are making, but because they want to try to make everyone happy and cease the negativity they receive. As the famous quote says, however, you can please some of the people all the time, you can please all the people some of the time, but you cannot please all the people all the time, by John Lydgate. With the increase of SJWs wanting things pandered to them, what they are asking for is a lot of gender bending and race swapping of characters while downplaying male roles and or minimizing them because men are evil. However, the part that they don't want to change is taking the original ideas that was being made and make their own version of it, because they would rather ride the coattails of the legacy and fame that whatever franchise or idea they want changed has built, and use that to gain ground on their new progressive idea. The reason this is more doomed to fail than succeed is because, since a lot of what I'll be talking about is them gender bending from male to female and or talking down on men, why would you want to have a man's fame and legacy to fall back on if the future is supposed to be female? Why can't it be carried on in its own way, using its own identity? Not every single example is male gender swapping. Some of it is race swapping to try to pander to a new audience and or not seem racist to show equal representation. Some is making the platform into a stage to belittle men for no other sake than, again, men are evil. So, for example, Gandalf becomes a woman in the Amazon TV show that has him starring in Middle-earth for the Second Age, where he was never in to begin with for the lore of Lord of the Rings. Actor Robin Malcolm said that this time the perspective in the show was flipped and should be less male-focused than its film counterparts, in which Sir Ian McKellen played the wizard. Those old legends, those old mystical stories, they're so based within a patriarchal landscape. Malcolm told stuff. Why not look at the magic of a matrilineal world where the magical powerhouses are women? What she possibly doesn't even remember is Galadriel was one of the most powerful characters in Lord of the Rings, and she was a woman. So Disney rumored to race swap X-Men's Charles Xavier and Magneto. A lot of people who are true fans of movies, TV shows, comic books, and any other forms of art have talked about how changing the characters once they are solidified within the lore canon. It's ridiculous to do so to conform to SJW agendas, that doing so would take away that character for who they really are, regardless of gender or race. Deadpool being talked into the MCU for PG-13. Deadpool character, Disney debates continuing Deadpool with R rating. Ryan Reynolds has gone on to say that he wouldn't do it if it's not rated R because that's what makes Deadpool really likable. And it also helps push the boundaries for comic books to not just always have to have children be there. You can have an adult version of a comic and it would actually work really well. The general audience loved Deadpool for everything it is, regardless of how Rotten Tomatoes scores it. Just look at Once Upon Deadpool and how that flopped as a PG-13 movie. It needs to stay rated R. James Bond is being replaced by a woman. And this is for the new James Bond movie that's coming out. A leak shows M calls to 007 and a woman walks out to carry on the code name 007 James Bond, as this is supposed to be when James Bond retires to let her take over her legacy. Jinx, Halle Berry's character from Die Another Day, would have been a great choice because she was very liked and was badass in the movie many years ago. And her character from leaving the Bond movie and continuing her story would have been a great spin-off, as she would have had her own following aside from being connected to Bond. So the main thing with this one is that the idea that somebody else is going to be taking over Bond's legacy. She's not going to be having her own identity. She's taking his identity for what it is. He's going to be in the movie, kind of have little cameos, but he is supposed to be letting her completely just take over his legacy and his codename. And that's why it's pandering for the wrong reasons, because having a female lead is not, there's no problem with that. It's the idea that you are taking an already solidified character and changing it to fit the criteria of what you're conforming of for the SJWs, which is ridiculous. Ghostbusters 2016 movie was replaced by an all-female cast, used as a platform to belittle men, even killing the last ghost by hitting him in the genitals. Now, 2020 cast has been confirmed to be a diverse cast of 2 males and 2 females, and one of the actresses, I forgot her name, but she has gone on to give her 2 cents and backlash towards the 2020 movie as saying that she thought it was supposed to be an all-male cast, and how if the movie, she said it sarcastically, was to be all-male, that would be the reason that it would succeed, whereas 2016 Ghostbusters was just a really bad movie. And it had nothing to do with the fact that it was an all-women cast. It was just written very poorly. It was directed in a way that it was pandering. That's all it was. And that's why it failed. The woman behind Palpatine, keeping the Empire alive. This is for Star Wars comics more so. A woman named Imperial Minister Patina Bohr was behind keeping the Empire together because she felt as though Emperor Palpatine was incompetent and a weakness to the Empire. Saying that she actually was the one to pretty much come up with all the ideas and to build the Empire for herself, and using Palpatine as kind of a front runner for the entire movement. Sticking with Star Wars, Rey is getting new powers in Rise of Skywalker. She's getting new healing and rejuvenating powers from a worm alien that she fights on a distant planet, and it's the same powers that Anakin wanted to have to save Padme, but he couldn't get from learning it from a Jedi. He had to learn it from a Sith Lord, which is what they talked about for Darth Plagueis being able to have healing powers, and Lord Sidious got those powers and was trying to kind of bribe Anakin to join the dark side by wanting to teach him those powers to save Padme. So for some reason Anakin couldn't get him, but they're easily going to just have some worm alien give Rey these powers to kind of give her too much power. So she learns the powers very quickly and will use these powers in the Rise of Skywalker to bring killed off main characters back from the dead. Again, this is all based on leaks, which have now been all but completely confirmed from various sources. So we're going to keep the Star Wars thing going. The ending of Rise of Skywalker with Rey completely being overpowered in her role. Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, for any of you guys that didn't know that, and it overpowers and kills him while he is single-handedly fighting off the Resistance fleet with his Sith lightning from his thorny throne on the dead planet below, and she comes up to him when he thought that she was incapacitated. He starts to shoot lightning at her. She's able to deflect it, and she easily kills him. There you go. I've just spoiled Rise of Skywalker for you. Ruby Rose's comments as Batwoman, saying that the CW network show Batwoman is something older white dudes aren't going to like, and also saying that the Batsuit would only be perfect if it was made for a woman. So it's kind of going along with Brie Larson's comments where she said she doesn't want older white dudes judging her superhero characters. John Wick, the spin-off Ballerina. So this is, if you watch John Wick 3 Parabellum, there is in the credits a character named Ballerina, and this is supposed to be a spin-off for her to have her own story. And this is an SJW hating on the idea, despite that it has a female lead, but it's because of the details within the story. So someone who knows of the movie and went onto Twitter to claim that the new spin-off is set up to fail already because a movie with a female lead should be directed by a woman, especially because of the name Ballerina. The new character is supposed to have her own identity and story aside from John Wick as an assassin, not carry his legacy, and she is going to be avenging her murdered family. Joker being called racist. So Dr. Zuleyka Zevallos tweets from her Twitter handle @OtherSociology saying that the Joker panders to issues for older white men and show no representation for women in this movie. If the movie isn't made for women, it's bad, but if it isn't made for men, it's good. And it's also an anti-hero movie for women.